The world was stunned, caught off guard by a moment that would ripple through history and ignite conversations in every corner of the globe, when Maria Machado, Venezuela's outspoken opposition leader, was awarded the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. It sent shockwaves through international politics. For years, Machado had been a symbol of resistance, standing up to Nicolas Maduro's authoritarian regime and inspiring hope among millions of Venezuelans desperate for change. The Nobel Committee praised her tireless fight for democracy and human rights, highlighting her courage in the face of intimidation and violence. They called her a beacon for peaceful resistance, someone who never wavered in her commitment to justice, even as threats mounted. But the real shock came not from the award itself, but from Machado's response. In a secret video message recorded while she was in hiding to avoid government persecution, she dedicated the prize not just to the people of Venezuela, but also, in a move no one expected, to President Donald Trump. This audacious dedication instantly reframed the meaning of the award, tying her struggle for freedom to one of the world's most polarizing and controversial leaders. The news cycle exploded, with pundits and politicians scrambling to interpret her motives. Machado's dedication wasn't just an expression of gratitude, it was a bold, calculated statement about who she believed had truly shaped the path to peace in the modern era. She credited Trump's pressure on the Maduro regime as a turning point, challenging conventional ideas about peacemaking. The Nobel Committee, expecting a celebration of peaceful resistance, suddenly found themselves at the center of a global controversy. Headlines now focused on Trump's divisive methods, overshadowing the original intent of the award. Machado's choice forced a worldwide debate. Is peace defined by the process or by the result? Can controversial tactics ever be justified if they lead to freedom? The 2025 Nobel Peace Prize would be remembered not just for its recipient, but for the storm of drama, debate, and difficult questions it unleashed across the world. In her address, Machado explained her dedication to Trump was a matter of principle. She emphasized that her support was not simply about political convenience or opportunism, but rooted in a deep belief that bold leadership is required in times of crisis. Machado described how, in her view, the world had grown weary of endless negotiations that led nowhere, and that it was time for a new approach, one that prioritized results over rhetoric. She credited him for brokering the historic 20,000 Mao Berbor 2025 Israel-Hamas peace deal, which freed the last Israeli hostages after 2 years in captivity. Machado pointed to this achievement as proof that unconventional methods could break deadlocks that had persisted for decades. The images of families reunited, she said, were a testament to the power of determined action. For Machado, Trump's unorthodox, forceful diplomacy succeeded where years of negotiations failed. She argued that sometimes it takes a leader willing to defy expectations and challenge the status quo to make real progress. In her eyes, Trump's willingness to take risks and act decisively set him apart from traditional politicians. She argued that decisive action, sometimes aggressive, was necessary to confront entrenched evil, citing Trump's pressure on Maduro and military actions against Venezuelan narco boats. Machado insisted that only by confronting criminal regimes head-on could real change be achieved, and that hesitation or half measures would only embolden dictators. By aligning with Trump, Machado aimed to keep Venezuela's plight on the U.S. agenda and push for a domino effect against authoritarian regimes in the Americas. She hoped that her alliance would inspire other opposition leaders across Latin America to demand more from the international community and refuse to accept authoritarianism as inevitable. Her dedication was a strategic gamble, tying her movement's fate to Trump's political fortunes. Machado acknowledged the risks, but believed that bold moves were necessary to break the cycle of repression and neglect that had plagued her country for years. Machado's message was clear. In today's world, peace sometimes requires a hammer, not a dove. She argued that the old symbols of diplomacy were no longer enough, and that real peace demanded strength, resolve, and the courage to act when others hesitated. She challenged the old order, arguing that outsiders like Trump could achieve what diplomats could not. Machado called for a new generation of leaders, unafraid to disrupt, unafraid to confront injustice, and unafraid to take responsibility for difficult decisions. Honoring Trump, she endorsed his entire approach to peacemaking, urging others to recognize that sometimes The path to justice and freedom requires breaking with tradition and embracing bold, even controversial solutions. Trump embraced Machado's dedication with characteristic flair, calling it a rightful acknowledgment of his achievement, yet he quickly turned to grievance, criticizing the Nobel Committee for not awarding him the prize directly. Trump's team echoed this, accusing the committee of political bias. Allies like Jason Miller claimed the Nobel's credibility was at stake if Trump didn't win in 2026. Trump used the moment to both celebrate his role as peacemaker and fuel his narrative as a victim of the global elite. Machado's gesture became another chapter in Trump's ongoing battle for recognition. The White House and conservative media amplified the message, turning Machado's triumph into a Trump-centric spectacle. The Nobel drama became a stage for Trump's unique brand of political theater. Once again, he dominated the news cycle, shifting the spotlight from Machado to himself. The peace deal that inspired Machado's dedication ended a bloody 2-year chapter in the Middle East. Brokered by Trump's administration with Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, it secured the release of the final Israeli hostages and a lasting ceasefire. Previous attempts had failed, but the region's landscape changed after Israel's brief war with Iran and Trump's return to office. Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio favored direct high-pressure tactics over traditional diplomacy. Their approach, though controversial, broke the deadlock. Within a year, over 70 American hostages were freed worldwide, more than during Biden's entire term. In Israel, the celebrations were euphoric. Families reunited, and Prime Minister Netanyahu hailed Trump as Israel's greatest friend. For many, the debate over Trump's methods faded in the face of tangible results. The hostages were home, and, for now, the war was over. Machado's dedication and Trump's role in Gaza sent ripples worldwide. In Ukraine, President Zelensky expressed hope that the Israel-Hamas model could inspire peace in his own war-torn country. Pakistan's Prime Minister Sharif publicly nominated Trump for the Nobel, calling him the man the world needs. In Israel, gratitude for Trump overshadowed controversy. The focus was on the hostages' safe return. European allies, wary of Trump's go-it-alone style, acknowledged the peace but worried about the precedent. Machado's move was seen as a sign of shifting global alliances and the rise of transactional diplomacy. The world was changing, and Trump was once again at the center of the storm. The dedication sparked debate about the future of peacemaking and global leadership. In the U.S., Machado's dedication and the Gaza deal deepened partisan divides. Republicans celebrated Trump's leadership, with conservative media touting his peace efforts and contrasting them with Biden's record. Democrats, while unable to oppose the hostage release, avoided crediting Trump, instead highlighting groundwork laid by previous diplomacy. In Venezuela, Machado's supporters saw her move as a masterstroke, aligning their cause with the world's most powerful leader. They viewed the Nobel as validation of their struggle, and the dedication as a savvy political play. The Maduro regime, meanwhile, denounced Machado as a traitor and tool of American imperialism. State media painted the Nobel as foreign interference, using the dedication to reinforce anti-opposition narratives. The prize became a symbol of Venezuela's deep political divide. Media coverage of the Nobel drama reflected deep polarization. Conservative outlets hailed Trump as a peacemaker, celebrating his role in the Middle East. Conservative outlets also highlighted Machado's endorsement. Liberal media, meanwhile, questioned his motives, arguing his campaign for the prize was more about vanity than peace. Some pointed out the suffering that preceded the deal. Others doubted the Nobel Committee would ever honor such a divisive figure. More nuanced voices acknowledged Trump's foreign policy successes. These voices also highlighted the contradictions in his leadership style. The story became a Rorschach test for political leanings, filtered through partisan lenses. Even a peace agreement became fuel for America's parallel realities. The truth, as always, depended on which channel you watched. The announcement of the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize set off a firestorm of debate around the world, reigniting fierce arguments over Donald Trump's complex and controversial legacy. In newsrooms, on social media, and in living rooms across continents, people questioned whether the prize should reward results, values, or both. Supporters pointed to the historic Gaza deal and the Abraham Accords as undeniable proof of Trump's effectiveness on the world stage. They argued that his willingness to break with diplomatic tradition and use unconventional methods led to breakthroughs that many thought impossible. For them, Trump's boldness and unpredictability were assets, not liabilities, and they saw his actions as paving the way for new possibilities in the Middle East. But critics were quick to counter, insisting that celebrating these deals ignored the immense human cost of ongoing conflicts and the consequences of Trump's aggressive foreign policy elsewhere. They pointed to regions still scarred by violence, and to communities that bore the brunt of decisions made in distant capitals. For them, the Nobel Peace Prize is about more than just tangible results. It's about the values and principles that guide those results. Trump's divisive rhetoric, controversial military actions, and polarizing leadership style, they argued, fundamentally disqualified him from being a true symbol of peace. The committee's decision to award the prize to Machado instead of Trump was widely interpreted as a powerful statement, one that honored the enduring strength of peaceful struggle and nonviolent resistance over the use of raw power and force. Machado's unwavering dedication to peace and justice forced the world to reconsider what true peacemaking means in an era marked by division and upheaval. Her example challenged leaders and citizens alike to reflect on the deeper meaning of reconciliation and hope. The debate over Trump's role in shaping peace remains as heated and unresolved as ever, with two fundamentally irreconcilable narratives continuing to divide public opinion and fuel passionate arguments. Is he a disruptive genius who forced the world to confront uncomfortable truths, or a destabilizing force whose actions left lasting scars? The answer for many depends on where they stand in a deeply polarized world. One thing is certain, Donald Trump has once again placed himself at the very center of the global conversation, shaping the course of history and defying expectations as the world continues to grapple with the meaning of peace in our time.